I was my mother's youthful mistake. That's what she told me, her voice cold, right before she said the words that would change everything. At least Alex's mother wanted her son. For 19 years, I lived in the shadow of her best friend's perfect boy. My name is Leo, and for as long as I can remember, that name was always said with a hint of a sigh. It was never just Leo. It was, Leo, why can't you be more like Alex? Alex was more than a person. He was a standard I was born failing to meet. We grew up next door to each other. Our moms, Carol and Brenda, were best friends. Alex and I were forced into the same classes, the same birthday parties, the same life. But we were never friends. From the sandbox, he was the child who shared his toys under the watchful eye of adults. I was the one who built castles too weird and crumbly. Look how Alex shares Leo, my mom would say. In middle school, it became about grades. His A in math was a triumph. My B was a lack of effort. In high school, the chasm became an ocean. He was the star of the debate team. I was in the art club, sketching in the back of the room. Alex is so articulate, my mother would muse, staring at my latest drawing. Don't you want to be someone people respect? The worst part was his private cruelty. In the school hallway, away from parental ears, his voice would drop to a venomous whisper. Nice drawing, loser. You gonna be a starving artist when I'm a surgeon? He'd shoulder check me and then flash that perfect, innocent smile at a teacher walking by. He was a ghost that haunted my daily life, a ghost everyone else saw as an angel. My mother saw none of it. To her, his words were constructive criticism. His smugness was ambition. My resentment was ingratitude. I felt myself shrinking, becoming a faded photocopy of a person living next to a high-definition billboard of perfection. The resentment wasn't a fire. It was a cold, heavy stone in my gut. I carried it with me every day, to every class, to every family dinner where his name was the guest of honor. I was just waiting for the moment that stone would become a weapon.
College was supposed to be my escape. We both ended up at the same state university, him on a pre-med track, me in the School of Design. But the physical distance didn't matter. The ghost of Alex followed me in every weekly phone call with my mother. Alex made the dean's list again, Leo. His mother's so proud. I saw Brenda. Alex landed a summer internship at a biotech firm. It's just so impressive. My achievements, a featured piece in the student art show, a freelance logo design for a local cafe, were met with a polite, "That's nice, honey." The subtext was always clear. It wasn't real. It wasn't substantial. It wasn't Alex. The breaking point came during spring semester. A guy on my dorm floor was throwing a party. To my shock, Alex was there, holding a red solo cup and holding court with a group of wide-eyed freshmen. He was slumming it, playing the cool, smart guy for a night. I tried to avoid him, but he sought me out. "Leo," he said, his voice dripping with false camaraderie. "Heard you're still doodling." Cute. He leaned in, his breath smelling of cheap beer. "You know, my dad's firm needs someone to design their Christmas card. It might be the only real job you can get." I walked away, my hands shaking. Later that night, the cops showed up for a noise complaint. As everyone scrambled, a small, clear bag of weed fell out of Alex's pocket onto the common area couch. He saw it at the same time I did. Our eyes met, panic flashed across his face for a split second, then it was replaced by cold, calculated malice. When the campus police officer asked what was going on, Alex didn't hesitate. He pointed at me, his face a perfect mask of concerned disappointment. "Officer, I am so sorry. I think my friend Leo must have dropped that. He's been really stressed about his grades lately. I've been trying to help him, but..." He trailed off, implying a tragic, hopeless case. It was a masterstroke. To solidify his lie, he accidentally knocked my backpack off a chair. My student ID, keys, and a few loose sketches spilled out. See? His actions screamed to the room. He's a mess. The officer, seeing the responsible pre-med student versus the stressed art kid, bought it completely. I was written up for possession. The university placed me on academic probation. The news was a nuclear bomb in my life. When I tried to explain to my mother what really happened, she cut me off. "Don't you dare blame Alex for your mistakes, Leo," she screamed, her voice cracking with humiliation I realized was for herself, not for me. "He's the only one who ever tries to look out for you. How could you be so selfish? This is what I get for raising a liar." That was the moment the cold stone of resentment in my gut ignited into a white-hot forge of vengeance. He didn't just frame me. He stole my mother's last shred of belief in me. Fine. If I was already the villain in their story, I would play the part. I would expose the golden boy not with my fists, but with the truth. And I would make sure the collapse of his perfect world was a spectacle no one could ignore.
The weeks after the probation were the darkest of my life. The shame was a physical weight. But then something in me snapped. The self-pity evaporated, replaced by a cold, clear focus. Alex had won the battle with a cheap shot, but I was going to win the war with patience and precision. I became a ghost, and he became my only haunt. I started digging. I knew his public image was a fortress, but everyone has a back door. I remembered his cryptic comments about networking and his sudden influx of cash for expensive sneakers and a new laptop. Things his middle-class family couldn't easily afford. My first break came from Sarah, a friend in the biology department. Over coffee, I casually mentioned Alex's amazing internship. She snorted. Internship? He failed his last organic chemistry midterm. Hard. Professor Davies is making him retake it. A pre-med student failing a core class? That didn't fit the narrative. The crack in his armor had appeared. I started watching him. From a distance, of course. I noticed a pattern. Every Thursday night, he'd tell his roommate he was at the library, but he'd head towards the off-campus apartments, the ones known for being loud and cheap. I followed him once, my heart hammering against my ribs. I saw him meet a guy named Mark, a known dealer on campus. It wasn't a social call, it was a transaction. Alex wasn't just buying, he was selling Adderall, the study drug. The golden boy was funding his lifestyle and propping up his grades by dealing pills to his stressed out peers. The irony was so beautiful, it was almost poetic. He had framed me for possessing a little weed while he was pushing prescription speed, but I needed proof. Hard, undeniable proof. I couldn't just tell my mother. She'd accuse me of being jealous and spiteful. I needed a confession, and for that, I needed leverage. I started compiling a digital dossier. Photos of his meetings, screenshots of his cryptic posts on student forums, the failed midterm grade I discreetly confirmed. I was no longer the disappointed son. I was a forensic archivist of his downfall. The stage was being set. All I needed was the right moment to raise the curtain.
The perfect opportunity fell into my lap. My mother called, her voice strained with forced cheer. "Brenda is throwing a small graduation party for Alex next Saturday. You're coming, Leo. It's non-negotiable. Maybe some of his success will finally rub off on you." A cold smile touched my lips. "Sure, Mom. I wouldn't miss it for the world." The party was a shrine to Alex. His acceptance letter to a prestigious medical school was framed on the mantelpiece. Photos of him shaking hands with deans covered the walls. He held court in the center of the room, basking in the glow of adult admiration. My mother watched him like he was the son she'd always wanted. I waited. I was patient. I made small talk. I nodded. I played my part, the quiet, underachieving son, a harmless footnote in Alex's epic. Then I saw my chance. Alex pulled out his phone, frowned at a notification, and slipped out onto the back patio. I gave it a minute, then followed, my own phone discreetly recording video in my hand. He was near the fence, talking to a guy I recognized from campus. "I told you, not here," Alex hissed, his voice low and tense. "Man, I need it now. Finals are killing me," the guy whined. "Fine, double the usual, for the risk." He pulled out a small plastic bag from his pocket. It was filled with tiny blue pills. That was my cue. I stepped out of the shadows, my own phone held up like a weapon. "Double the price for a little Adderall, Alex? Isn't that a bit greedy for a future doctor?" He spun around, his face a perfect mask of shock and terror. The bag fell from his hand, pills scattering on the patio stones like toxic confetti. "Leo, what the hell are you doing? This isn't what it looks like." "Oh, I think it's exactly what it looks like. It looks like you're dealing drugs. The same drugs you've probably been using to keep your GPA afloat after failing organic chemistry." The patio door slid open. Our mothers stood there. Brenda with a plate of cake, my mother with a proud smile that was already dying on her lips. They took in the scene, the pills on the ground, Alex's panicked face, my calm, accusing stance. "Leo, stop this nonsense," my mother snapped automatically, a lifetime of defense mechanisms kicking in. "It's not nonsense, Carol," Brenda whispered, her eyes fixed on the pills. "Alex, are those—" "Mom, he's setting me up," Alex cried, his voice cracking with a pathetic whine. "He's jealous. He's always been jealous." I didn't even look at him. I kept my eyes locked on my mother. "You remember the weed at the party, Mom? The one that got me put on probation? That was his. He framed me. He's not perfect. He's a fraud. and you spent my entire life worshiping a liar. The silence that followed was more devastating than any scream. I turned and walked back into the house, through the crowd of stunned guests, and out the front door. I didn't need to see the rest. The image of my mother's shattered illusion, of the golden boy crumbling into a sniveling mess, was burned into my mind. It was over.
I didn't hear from my mother for 3 days. The silence was different this time. Not a punishment, but a profound, shameful stillness. When she finally called, her voice was raw. Leo, She couldn't finish the sentence. She just cried. It wasn't the dramatic sob she used for effect. It was a quiet, broken sound I'd never heard before. The fallout was nuclear. Alex was expelled. The acceptance to med school was rescinded after the university informed them of the investigation. Brenda and my mother's friendship, built on the foundation of our false rivalry, didn't survive the blast. How could it? My mother had to face the fact that she'd spent 2 decades valorizing a criminal and alienating her own son. Our relationship now is under construction. It's fragile. The years of hurt don't vanish overnight. She started therapy. She apologizes now, not with grand gestures, but in small, painful ways. "I'm sorry I didn't see you," she'll say. "I'm sorry I listened to the wrong voice." I don't know if we'll ever have the perfect mother-son bond, but the constant grinding pressure of comparison is gone. The ghost of Alex has been exorcised. I finally feel like I can breathe. I'm focusing on my design portfolio, building a life on my own terms. The funny thing is, without her voice in my head telling me I'm not enough, I'm starting to believe that I am. I didn't just expose Alex. I freed us both from a prison she didn't even know she had built. And sometimes that's the only revenge that truly matters.